can get this figured out. So can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Veronica, I apologize, I might go over, so wherever you are, I love you, you know that, so I might go over. Sorry, conference organizers.
We'll cut you off.
Please don't cut me off. I'm so blessed to be invited to talk here with all of you. I have met so many amazing people that I have never met before. I've been in this community for about 8 or 9 years, and I am meeting tons of new amazing people, and I'm just so honored to be here. Today we're going to talk about food addiction, and really I was moved. I changed my entire presentation because I was moved by our first presenter. I don't know where she is, Jessica. Who was moved here by her presentation? I was so moved, and I thought, well, gosh, maybe I can add a little bit more color from the clinical side to the story she told, and hopefully I can do her justice, because she's onto something with those strongholds, and we're going to expand upon that here. I was going to take out the slides about who I am and what I do, but the people I was dining with said, you cannot do that. Tell people who you are in an effort to save time. So this is me bragging for a little bit, which my wife here will say I do a lot. Board certified internal medicine doctor. I'm board certified in obesity medicine. I am a certified personal trainer. I am a certified health coach. I have a nationwide obesity and primary care medical practice. I'm a board member of the Society of Metabolic Health Practitioners. We have a journal to represent our community, a medical journal. It's called the Journal of Metabolic Health. This year, so let's give a round of applause, we have a journal for our community, Journal of Metabolic Health. And I personally lost 150 pounds and kept it off for almost a decade. I went from, no Jonathan, but I can run. I went from the 99th percentile to the 1st percentile in 5K time. I have seen over 2,000 patients and helped them lose over 60,000 pounds. So that's a lot of weight. I have a smartphone app with 11,000 people on it. I have a podcast with my just amazing friend, mentor, I don't know where he is, Dr. Brian Lenskis, who had another amazing talk. I don't know where he is, but give him a round of applause. He's put up with me for 6 years on the Low Carb MD podcast. He deserves like a real award for that, because I'm a tough cookie. 250,000 reach on social media, 10 published papers in the medical journals, and some of them will make you all proud when I expand on them later. Everything from diabetes to cholesterol to triglycerides, and most recently our weight loss results. We called out the corrupt, excuse my language, Dr. Hamilton was so polite, the corrupt American Academy of Pediatrics, who says it's okay to cut a child's stomach and give them injection hormones, but you shouldn't give them a low-carb diet. So we called them out in the medical literature, we published it, okay, we just published in the Journal of Metabolic Health. We called out when we see bias, and Dr. Veronica will talk about that. When we see bias, we agree on some of that, and we call it out. We write letters to the editor. I've written letters to the editor about biased nutritional research. And this is my crowning achievement, actually. My wife is right here. Just a round of applause. She's put up with me for so long. She's my inspiration. She's everything. And I'm a father of 3 amazing kids, I have to say that. And we just submitted a paper that shows that our 1-year results outperform Ozempic. So, but this is it. The proof's in the pudding, right? The proof is in the pudding. I've been moved by this, right? This is me. This is my wife 10 years ago, and this is us here on the boat. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for her. And you know, when I say, you know, you see me here talking, and you really shouldn't just see me. There is a massive, massive team behind me. 2 other doctors, a PA, and 4 amazing health coaches, each who have been through their own medical and health journeys that are absolutely amazing stories here. and a whole team of people that help run our nationwide clinic. And so I'm here with their help. And what do we do? People said, well, what do you do? I had Rebecca come up to me earlier, like, what do you do exactly? We do multimodal healthcare, text messaging, online visits, wellness and personal trainers online. We have an app, we have real-time feedback, smart scale. You step on a scale, you use a CGM, we see it in real time. You check your blood pressure, we see it in real time. It's high-tech medicine, and we offer meetings and one-on-one meetings, group meetings, facilitate behavior change that support metabolic health, not the calorie craze nonsense. And this is sort of what it looks like, just to give you a feel. We're tracking here weights in real time, we're tracking blood pressure in real time, we're tracking people doing the education we're providing them in real time. We have sleep studies remotely, sleep trackers, activity monitors, ketone meters, blood pressure cuffs, all of it we track anywhere in the country. It's going into our computer systems. Our health coaches are analyzing them. And this is a flavor of what our app looks like. It's a dietary advice. We have a binge eating hotline, basically, on the app, a community. Let's see, I'm on the right side here. Yeah, this is our CGM curriculum, videos, just walking you through everything that you could need, really. But anyway, enough of that. So that's what I do, and I told you this is what I do, this is who I am. So why are we here, right? Why are we here? People want to know how to get freedom, right? How do we maintain a lifestyle forever? Right? How do we do that? And that's really why we're here. And one of the biggest barriers are those strongholds, and I'm going to try to expand on those. The voices of food addiction. This is what the voices of food addiction sound like. And just raise your hand if you've heard any of these. I just can't do it. Or I don't have the willpower, right? Or I don't have the discipline. I'm a chocoholic, right? I just can't stop eating bread, right? And when I ask, well, why do you think that is? And people say, well, it's my fault, right? It's just me, right? I don't know why, I just can't seem to do it. Who's heard that before? Yeah. I need to do better. I need to do better. I don't have the discipline, right? And what is this? How do we interpret this? And I'll ask later on, but do we need more, do we need more accountability and responsibility, or do we need something else? Do we need to untangle those strongholds? And we'll talk about that. So I'm going to give you the answers ahead of time, okay? I'm going to tell you what you need right now in this slide. So I want you to take a picture of it, and then we're going to go through it. Okay? We're going to go through it. So this is what you need. You need 10 things to address your lifestyle forever. And it's ridiculously easy. Don't be fooled. Okay? Be empowered. You can conquer it. It is not something that's unattainable. So, first of all, raise your hands if you've struggled to keep your lifestyle. Raise your hands. Everybody here, okay? Now I'm going to give you 5 things that I'm going to manage for you, okay? And you're going to tell me if you still have difficulty. If I take your hunger away, you're no longer hungry, right? You're full, you're happy, you're good. If I help you manage your hunger, who here will still have a problem? Raise your hands. It'll be some, okay? Some, less people here, right? Like half of them, put them down. What happens if I manage your cravings? All the foods you crave, the bread, the chocolate, the ice cream, whatever it is. Okay? If I help manage those cravings and your hunger, how many people here, still some I'd imagine, how many will still have a problem? A couple raise their hands, right? If I take away your feeling of deprivation, you don't feel deprived anymore. You're like, gosh, I don't need that. I don't want that. Right? Who here will have a problem? Just a couple of hands now. Right? And what happens if I take away the difficulty at social situations? Cruises, meetings, dates, celebrations, right? What happens now? If I make that easy for you, who has a problem? 1 hand, 2 hands, okay? 3 hands, all right? What happens if I take away the emotions, the emotional component? When you're depressed, when you're sad, when you're stressed out, when you're coping, when you're celebrating, when you're happy. And I help you manage food when you have those emotional fluctuations, those mental health issues. That's stress. Stress is the #1 cause of weight gain in our practice, by the way. If I help you manage your stress, where you don't turn to food, how many people will still have a problem? Almost no hands. Maybe one. Right? Maybe two. Somebody raise their hand. Right? So meaning, this is an attainable thing. These are the 5 musts. You must address these. Any lifestyle you do. Okay? And then you get to the pragmatics, the problems. You're going to have problem foods that you need to outline. That you need to do. You need to outline them ahead of time and make sure they're addressed. The problem times that you have difficulty maintaining your lifestyle. When it's late at night, the kids are asleep. When you're driving home from work after a late night, after a shift, in the car coming home, right? I think Jessica said, right? You have to find those places where you struggle, right? In the basement when nobody's looking, right? Right? When I go to my vegan Uncle Jack's house, right? On a cruise, right? Who struggled on a cruise, right? And the people you struggle with, my wife doesn't have the same issues as me. She can eat. She can eat little amounts of food. If you're sitting at my table, you know I can eat. Where's Bronson? I beat you. Everybody said Bronson can eat more than me. He can't. And one concept you need, right? One concept. That's the 10th thing. Immediate recovery. Immediate recovery. Now, is there somebody in the room who thinks that if all of these, so if you veer off, enjoy your meal, forgive yourself, get back to the things that make you feel good the next meal, do not let it linger. If you address these 10 things, who still suffers? Very few, right? Very few. So be empowered. So that's 30 to 55 things that we need to address every patient in our office. 30 to 55 line items. It's not hard. We're all creatures of habit. 15 to 25 foods that we crave. 5 or 10 locations we struggle. 5 to 10 people we struggle with. 2 to 5 situations, a couple times per day. A couple of emotional states, anxiety, depression, stress, joy, celebration that you need to figure out. Physical states, sleeplessness, chronic pain, infection, surgery that can exacerbate appetite. And that one concept, needing to immediately go back. This is a achievable thing. You do not need to be disempowered. I have food addiction. I have food addiction, 10 years. Okay? 10 years, and this is an achievable thing. 30 to 55 line items. So what would prevent you from maintaining that lifestyle if it's so simple? I gave you the answers. It's that easy. It's those strongholds maybe we talked about. So I want to take I'm going to give you 2 options. You have to raise your hand for one. Okay? Do you need more accountability and personal responsibility, or do you need more knowledge about the nutrition lies and the strongholds? Okay? I want you to raise your hand. So if you're a team, I need to have, or people need to have more accountability and personal responsibility, raise your hands. About half the room. If you're in the team that you need more knowledge of the nutrition lies and the strongholds, raise your hands. It's about 50-50. Look at that. So we have a philosophical problem here at this conference. We don't know which way to go. Right? We don't know. So let's see if we can figure that out. So what is food addiction? Maybe I can help you answer that question. It's a strong hunger and drive to eat. Okay? But it's not just that. We all have a drive to eat. Okay? We all have a drive to eat. It's not just that. It's I call it Elmo manipulation. Okay? Emotions, logic, mentality, outlook, manipulation. That's food addiction. And I'm going to talk about that. This is what you were talking about with strongholds. Those little things coming out of the brain. Well, let's name them. It's a manipulation of your emotions to facilitate you eating. It's a manipulation of your logic and your mentality and your outlook, and I'm going to expand on these. And it's significant distress. It makes you emotionally distressed. You have shame and guilt. You don't want to do it, and you have psychological distress. Right? This is food addiction. And here's a quick and dirty food addiction assessment. It's called the CAGE questionnaire. It stands for CAGE. It's used for alcohol. We're going to adopt it for our food. But bottom line, it's a quick and dirty assessment. C stands for cutting down. A stands for agitated or annoyed. G stands for guilty. And E stands for eye opener, and I'll explain what that means. Do you want to cut down on unhealthy food? Raise your hand. Everybody, right? This doesn't make you food addicted. It makes you at risk. You have a mental desire to cut down. You're like, this is bad for me. I don't want to do it as much. There's some people who don't have that. If you ask me, do you want to drink less? I'd say no. I drink like 10 drinks a year. I don't want to drink less. That's not a problem for me. So you're at risk if you're saying I want to cut down. You're already at risk. Okay, and it means you have this personal drive to limit something you view as harmful. Do you get agitated or annoyed? When my wife says, put down that pizza, how do I feel? Am I saying, yes, Rosette, thank you? Or do you feel agitated or annoyed? So just tell me, if somebody takes away that pizza from you, do you get agitated or annoyed? Raise your hands. Agitated or annoyed? We got some, not everybody. So now you're harmful users. Because you wanna get rid of it, but your emotions betray you. Your emotions, you should be gracious. Thank you, Rosette, for the last 10 years, right? But you're not. Your emotions betray you. So there's emotional disconnect. So if you get 2 out of 4, you're at risk. And guilt and shame. Who here has guilt and shame over what they eat? A lot of people, not as much. So if you're 3 out of 4, this means, what does guilt and shame mean? What does that mean? You have psychological distress. That emotional disconnect is so great, and you keep using this substance, and now it's causing psychological distress, right? And now you're very close to being diagnosed with addiction. And the last one, eye-opener for alcohol, means drinking very early in the day. Okay, you're so compelled to drink, you drink at an earlier time. But for food, it's different. It's hiding and sneaking wrappers. Who's done that besides me? Okay? Not eating in front of other people and eating alone. Who's done that besides? Okay? Hiding the evidence. Right? Who's done that? Right? So what does this mean? Why do we do this? Right? We do this because it's easier to change our behavior to accommodate the substance than to eliminate the substance abuse. That means the strongholds are so great, the emotional disconnect is so great, the psychological distress is so great. To avoid the psychological distress and the shame and guilt, you do it in secret. You hide your tracks. You hide the bottles, right? For alcohol, you put them on the toilet or under the sink, right? With food, it's a little bit different. Right? You wait, you do good all day, and then you blow it late at night. So this, if you're 4 out of 4, this is a sign of food addiction. Now, it's not a moral imperative. You can achieve freedom, as Jessica mentioned, right? But you have to know what it is you're facing. That's strongholds. You have to know them. You have to name them. Emotional distress, disconnect, psychological distress. Okay? Changing your behavior to accommodate the substance. If you're 4 to 4, seek help. Seek help. It's tough to do it alone. But are you actually in control? How can you take responsibility for something that you can't control? You can hold your breath, but do you control your breathing? Raise your hands if you control your breathing. No? Stop breathing. Do you control your urination? For a bit, but you don't. Just don't urinate. You can count your drops of water that you drink and match it up with how much you pee out, but is that going to help you? Doesn't change anything. Who here can control their hunger? Nobody. So who's to blame? How can you be accountable for something that you don't control? So you can't flick a switch, and if anybody could flick a switch, nobody would be here. If you could turn it off, the hunger drive, not want food, who would be here? Who would be here, honestly? If we could all flick a switch, not want to eat, we could be the way we want, who would be here? Nobody. Raise your hand. Nobody. So we have to reconcile the fact that we're not in control. Right? We're not in control. So there's a problem. If you aren't in control, how can you be to blame? And what exactly is the solution? How do you regain control? Well, you have to understand your strongholds. Understand your prison. Right? Gain freedom, like Jessica talked about. You can tell I was moved. So here it is, food addiction, right? And we're going to focus on the strongholds today, right? We're going to focus on those strongholds, and we're going to define those strongholds, okay? ELMO is emotions, logic, mentality, and outlook. These are the strongholds. This is how food addiction manipulates you. Right? This is how it manipulates you. And I'm going to compare your all desire, my desire, to live a healthy life and my relationship to food. I'm going to compare it to other things that I care about. Who cares about their car? Raise your hands. Who cares about their bank account? Raise your hands. Who cares about your health? Raise your hands. We all care about these things. They're all systems that we need to be accountable and responsible about. So let's just see how our emotions, logic, mentality, and outlook stack up when you look at them all together. Let's see how Elmo's manipulated it. So let's examine the strongholds. If you got a flat tire, and that guy, AAA, came and said, I know your family. You're all terrible drivers. You need to pump more air in than you let out, and that'll fix your tire problem. And that'll be $3,000. What would you say? Right? What would you say? How would you feel? What would be the emotion you had? Shame? Come on. This guy's like, you need to pump more air than you let out. Anger. Not shame. Anger. An appropriate response to somebody abusing your strongholds would be anger. That's an appropriate response. Shame would be the inappropriate response. If you go to you have a problem with your bank account. My wife looks at the statement, she's like, Tro, somebody's stealing bitcoins from us, right? I'm like, all right, we better go figure it out. We go to the bank, right? Hey, tell I think there's fraud. And he says, well, we know your whole family. You're just terrible spenders. You need to make more than you spend to increase your balance. Don't you know that, dum-dum? And we have a financial planner for $3,000 you can pay for to fix your bank account. What would you guys do? Anger. You demand better help. Right? So now you're going to flavor of what I'm talking about here, and I'm going to expand on it, right? So let's look at emotions, right? When my wife says to me, Tro, put that pizza down. What are the feelings you all have if somebody tells you, rips that pizza out of your hand? What are the feelings you have? Anger. Leave me alone. Who says leave me alone? I know what I'm doing. I'm a grown man. Bro, you've heard it all a long time, right? I can make my own choices. Who said that? I'm just stubborn. Right? Now, when my wife comes to me and says, hey, you got a flat tire, I'm worried about you, don't drive. Have I ever said, leave me alone, I know what I'm doing. I could drive if I want to, I'm a grown man. Would I say that? No. What would I do? Thank you, dear. Gratitude. I'd have gratitude. So why is there this difference in my emotions? If she came and said, there's a problem with the bank account, let's check it out before you buy, whatever it is I buy. What would she say? Like, hey, don't spend that. I think something's wrong with the bank account. I'd be like, oh gosh, thanks for finding that. I didn't see it. I'd be gracious. I feel cared for. I feel loved. You're looking out for me. So what happens when I feel gratitude, support, and love? What happens next? What do I do? Fix the problem. I go fix a tire. I go fix the bank. And what happens when I feel anger, agitated, stubborn, oppositionally defiant? What happens next?
Double down.
I maintain a behavior I actually want to change. That's a stronghold. Let's label them. Right? So my emotions betray me. Can't trust them. What is manipulating my emotions? You have to understand. What about my logic? Who's done this? I don't want to waste food. Why? But it makes sense. Oh, it's so captivating, right? I don't want to waste food because world hunger is a thing and food waste is terrible and I grew up and blah, 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 right? Am I solving world hunger when I eat my kids' leftovers? No. Am I donating to UNICEF or whatever? No. What's manipulating my logic? How about this logic? I've been done so well, I deserve it. It's a cruise. Okay? So you've done well, you deserve it. How about I've been off plan, I should just stay off plan, I'll do this after the cruise. How can they both be right? They can't. Like, you've been on plan, so you should go off. You've been off plan, so you should stay off. Something's manipulating the logic. We're all laughing, but it's funny. But something's manipulating the logic. This is the stronghold, right? Yeah, Jessica's saying yes. She's the only one who gets it so far. Yeah. So something's manipulating my logic. So would I ever say, oh gosh, I haven't gotten any tickets, let me go get some tickets? You know what, I got a flat tire today, I'm just going to go stab my other tires, I might as well, I'm going to go to the mechanic on Monday. Has anybody done that? We laugh, but these are two systems we care about. We care about our car, you all raise your hands. We care about our health, you all raise your hands. But our logic is twisted. That's the stronghold. That's what she was talking about. What about our money? I spent a little bit too much, last month. I'm going to go to the ATM. I'm going to make it rain. I'm going to go on a shopping spree, and I'll call the accountant April 15th. Right? Who's done that before? Nobody. Who said, I'll keep eating this way, I'll do this after the cruise? Or I'll do this on Monday? Everybody. What's manipulating your logic? These are all things you care about. There's something manipulating your logic. Do you know what that is? Right? So what about outlook and advocacy? Right? Remember that AAA that came and said, well, you gotta buy my $3,000 pump more air plan than you let out for accountability in driving. Right? You'd be angry. You'd have more self-advocacy. You'd be like, screw you, get me the next tow guy, I'm done with you. You'd have a high degree of self-advocacy and a low degree of self-blame. Would you blame yourself? Maybe he's right. Maybe I need to pump more air in this thing. Would you do that? No self-blame. High self-advocacy. And what happens next? No self-blame, high self-advocacy, car gets fixed, right? You get a new tow company. Screw you, you're scamming me, see you later. Right? And when that bank teller says, you need to make more money than you owe, or whatever, make more money than you spent. That's not my problem. There's something wrong. Check it out. There's something else. It's been a struggle for a long time to take your money out. Get me your manager. Who would say get me your manager? All of us. Right? But what happens when it comes to food? Right? It's my fault. I'm a dum-dum. I don't have discipline. I don't have willpower. So why don't we have that same degree of self-advocacy where we take care of the problem now? Right? I got a flat tire, I got to take care of this right now. There's something wrong with the bank. How long would you all wait if there was a problem with your bank account? No time. How long would you wait before if you deviate a little bit before you get back? Right? No, right now. Right now. Right? So there's this difference. I don't know why this isn't, I think I broke this. Debbie's sending me a clue. She's like, it's time for you to, okay. It's time for you to, let's see. Oh no, it's working again. Okay. It just needed your presence. That's it. Good job, thank you. Round of applause, Debbie. Look, so there is this, there's this difference. There's a fundamental manipulation that's happened throughout our lifetime when it comes to food. Your emotions betray you. Your logic betrays you. Your outlook betrays you. How you advocate, how you process self-blame, those betray you. They all betray you. So how can you rely on them? How can you be accountable? How? I don't know how. We had this question over dinner. He's looking at his phone now, but he's like, there's no way. Caught you. Yeah. So food addiction fundamentally manipulates your emotions, your logic, your mentality, your outlook, and your advocacy. And the worst part is you need it to survive. You need it. It's not like another addiction. You need to eat, so which means you are forced to figure out a relationship to food that is healthy. You cannot just abstain for long. Right? So it's different. And the worst is the people with food addiction, they're so nutritionally depleted, they actually need food more. They need food more. Vitamin C is gone, vitamin D is gone, B12, all folate, right? So you have to learn to manage it. And to make it even worse, it's not like our society promotes health. Right? You see the people here, they're asleep. They're asleep. And it's not like you can do anything. You can't go and tell them to eat healthy, right? They're going to hate you. Don't do that. Don't preach, because preaching food is like, it's not going to help. So all you can do is understand your own struggle, understand the trap. You gain weight. And what do you do in response to gaining weight? The average person restricts something, right? You ignore the 5 musts I told you about: hunger, cravings, feelings of deprivation, social situations, emotions, and coping, and stress. Right? The 5 musts. You must do those things. And what happens when you ignore those things? You end up losing control. And when you lose control, how does it feel? Shame and guilt. And when you feel shame and guilt, you blame yourself. Whose fault is it? It's me. I'm a dum-dum. I didn't have enough discipline. But really what's going on? You're not aware. You're not aware. You're not awake. Right? You don't see those strongholds, and then you don't implement something sustainable. You do something crazy, it doesn't work out, you end up stopping and you gain weight. Who knows this cycle? Everybody. Right? And it gets worse, because when you reach out for help, you're gaining weight, you go to a personal trainer and they tell you to pump more air in than you let out. And you go to a supplement company that says, just put in more hydroxycut. And you go to a nutritionist that does count your calories, count your points, count your whatever. And you go to a doctor who says you got to have more, fish and plants and whatever, and make sure you have beans and grains. And you go to a dietitian and it shows you a plate that's, who knows, that's just madness. But you end up back at the wing jammer. Right? And you end up eating Vermont processed food, which causes weight. It's addictive food. That is it. You're dealing with an addictive substance. Right? And you go back to gaining weight. And the worst part is it's expensive to be healthy. People look at you funny. How do I eat? You guys are right here. How do I eat? You look at me funny. They're like, 8 steaks? Like, yes, I had 8 steaks. You saw my before picture. I can eat. Right? I had 8 steaks. I'm not ashamed. That's what it takes. You saw my old picture. Look at me now. I had 8 steaks. That's what it takes for me to be healthy. Say no to the dessert, right? Yeah, sorry, Bronson. I know you tried. Yeah. And the worst is culture and traditions. We are all weird to them. The 88% of people out there. You're bizarre. You're eating in a bizarre way, right? So it doesn't fit with societal norms. And our cultures and traditions, we celebrate with food. We do everything with food. We stress eat food. Everything's food. So, and our habits, we have these habits that lock us in, and we are conditioned, and that happens all the time. I mean, every year, I tell my wife, hide the chocolate, hide the nuts. The dark chocolate. I've not deviated in my entire 10 years. Dark chocolate, nuts are basically the only deviation I've had. But you can get habituated to food, and then you have social triggers. And there's people who sabotage you, right? Who has somebody that sabotages? Just have a little bit. shut up. But this is the first one, right? What makes those strongholds take hold? Poor mental health. Because when your mental health, when you're sleepless, when you're stressed, when you have mental health issues, depressed, anxious, right? Those strongholds, it's tough to see the manipulation, right? And then you're victim to them. And it's normal to everybody else. That's the worst part. They're all asleep. Right? So this is what's keeping you trapped. This is what I call the obesity trap. I should call it the food addiction trap. This is what's keeping you trapped. That emotional distress, that psychological distress, the behavior change to accommodate the substance, not the change. The emotional manipulation, the logic manipulation, the mentality and advocacy and outlook manipulation. That is those are the webs that are tying you. You know, she had that, reminded me of Pinocchio, right? Once I had strings, now I'm free. So you have to name these things so you know them when you see them in your life. You have to have a name for them. And I love the name Strongholds. I fell in love with that. So what do you need to escape? Okay, you need to eat filling foods that actually give your body what they need. Meat, fish, chicken, eggs, Greek yogurt, green leafy vegetables, some berries. If you have an autoimmune issue, you can restrict further, but you know, that's it, nutritious food. You need a plan, right? We're creatures of habit. 35 line items, 55 line items max. Recover immediately. You need a plan. You address the 5 musts: hunger, cravings, feelings of deprivation, social situations, emotions, coping, and stress. Need to be addressed. Get a coach. So many of them here. Coach Bronson. We talked to Natalie. We talked to Sonia, Jonathan. Get a coach. We have a team as well. Right? Honest reflections on your patterns. You cannot just say, who's saying, I'm going to do better next time? Who said that? That's bullshit. That's a plan to fail. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. Who said it? It was there. It was convenient. Who said that? That is a plan to fail. You've planned to fail. Okay? You need to honestly reflect and implement, understand exactly what's going on, implement specific change. You have to document every difficulty you have, what happened, what was the pattern, what am I going to do to fix it? Simple. If you do not implement a specific change, you're failing. That is failing. And what's the result of undiagnosed food addiction? That's why we're all here. 62% of Americans are overweight or obese. 48% of prediabetes or diabetes. I could cry over this. This is the cost. Billions, it's going to be trillions to our healthcare system. This is unsustainable. And what does our healthcare system do? You can't see this picture, but this is the timeline, right? This is a timeline, and what happens basically, you make poor choices, unhealthy choices, chronic disease develops, you go to a doctor, he doesn't do much, chronic disease matures, food addiction matures, you go back to the doctor, he doesn't do much, he gives you pills, no real change, and you go back to the doctor, really sick and desperate, and it gives you a bunch of prescriptions. Who knows this? All too well. Right? And it's easier, you're easier to conquer, fool, and be ripped off if you're a victim and you don't know what's going on, but now you know. Now you know. The system's broken. And they want to sell you a bunch of fake solutions and gimmicks, new injection drugs and whatever. Not to say they're not good. Some of them are good. We use these drugs, but everybody's trying to sell you something off of you not being aware and empowered. So the system favors gimmicks, supplements, medication, and surgery over lifestyle. And this is the only science you'll see. I took it all out because of Jessica inspiring me. I took all the science out. And this is the GLPs. They stop working over time. The craving control, about 2 years, is basically the same as when you started. The hunger goes back. So eventually the rooster comes back to crow. And what does the AAP say and the AMA? They say, don't do low-carb diets, but do bariatric surgery and injection drugs. This is your American Academy of Pediatrics. Right? Will drugs and surgery be the answer? They can help. They can help. Right? They can help. But they don't address food addiction. I'm going to just be a couple minutes, I know. I'm almost done. So how can we solve the real problem? On my honest opinion, it's multimodal healthcare. Now we take care of companies. Companies come to me and I say, give me your sickest. And they say, okay. They give me 100 of their sickest. And we pluck them out, and I was talking to Jonathan about this. We literally pick them up out of the gutter, one by one. Right? And it needs to be more than just count your calories, do better, be accountable. We need to literally help people one by one. And this is how we do it. We call it the toward bundle. Text messaging, online telemedicine visits, wellness coaching, asynchronous education, app and community, real-time feedback, real-time monitoring, dietary modifications that support metabolic health, and just giving a shit, honestly. And we've been covered in the press, CBS, PBS, they picked this up. And this is it, and I'm done here. Okay, I'm done. This is our weight loss. This is the science. 15% weight loss at a year. Well, for people who don't know me, they didn't want to listen to my podcast. Some company came to me, said, take our sickest. Here you go. 49 people lost 2,000 pounds after a year. They can't say it's not long term. They can't say it's not long term. These are the drugs we stopped. We added only 5. We stopped almost 100. In that small little group. And this is Ozempic. We beat them. Ozempic. So our program, we have 15.8% weight loss. Ozempic in one trial was 6.9. Wegovy was 14.9. Manjaro's 22.2. Lap band surgery is 23. We're in striking. Why would you need lap band? We're in striking. If they compared lap band to us, you would never get a lap band because it wouldn't have been efficacious. It would have been not statistically significant. And these are our results. I'm not going to go into them. You guys all know HDL gets better. A1C gets better. Blood sugar gets better. Everything gets better. That's it. That's it for me. If you need, sorry to go over. Thank you for being gracious. Wow.